Welcome to my channel everyone, it's Anthony TDG or Anthony the Dubstep Gamer, and I am here with a kit analysis of Ming. Since it's okay to talk about these characters and well he's already coming out in a couple days, I figured I might as well get this guide and analysis out pretty quickly. So in this video I'll just gauge to see how good he is and explain what he does. Spoiler alert, he seems like he's going to be the best 4-star carry. So let's get right into it. So first things first, he is a 4-star carry that is a Pyro Claymore and he specializes in plunge attacks. His elemental skill makes him jump and then plunge, and it's got a 6-second cooldown. But he can kind of spam his skill. That's because his elemental burst creates a companion that crashes on opponents and deals damage. This companion then bounces towards a random part of the floor and then runs towards Ming. When Ming and the companion are close to each other, they will link and that will reset the skill cooldown. So basically you can just spam the skill and just keep plunging. Another thing to note about the skill and burst, he does have the HP manipulation that Fontaine characters have, despite being a Leeway character. So his skill drains his HP and then heals him back, while his burst just straight up heals him. So if it wasn't obvious enough already, he's gonna really want to be paired with Xiangyun or Cloud Retainer, because Cloud Retainer will buff his plunge damage, and that's generally going to be the best teammate to pair with him. Which, speaking of teams, he does have some options for being a Pyro carry. He does have some melt teams, like with Rosaria, Kazuha, and Bennett, and it does pretty decent damage. However, his best team is going to consist of him, Farina, Xiangyun, and Bennett. Now, if you got Cloud Retainer built to Verdescent Veneer and build her with attack, she will buff plunge damage and heal more for the team, so she'll help out with Farina's fanfare stacks while providing resistant shred for both Pyro and Hydro, with Bennett providing the sweet attack bonus. But the best part is, if you have C6 Bennett, it's actually a very good benefit because Ming does not have Pyro infusion in his kit normally, and with the Pyro damage that Constellation also provides, you can just skill plunge endlessly or just regularly jump and plunge using Xiangyun, and Ming will do so much more damage because it is Pyro infused and he already has buffed plunge damage, so he could just spam plunges. But of course, he is a 4-star character. That means he's going to be reliant on a couple constellations for him to be super OP. However, he's not as reliant on his constellations as most modern 4-stars are, and he's still pretty competitive as the best 4-star carry. However, he can actually be competitive with 5-star carries, and even better in some scenarios if he is C6. Which brings me to Constellations. C1 gives extra healing from elemental skill, 25% extra to be exact. C2 provides 20% attack bonus when he gets overhealed. C4 gives 2 energy refund after every skill plunge. Then last but not least, C6 gives 20% crit rate and 40% crit damage to his plunges. So all these constellations make him pretty busted. So if you're planning to pull for Cloud Retainer and get some constellations of Ming, he gets a lot of damage increases from these constellations. It's more worth it to build him if you have C6 Bennett and Xiangyun. If you have neither, it's going to be a little bit harder to justify building him, but if you do have these conditions, he is really competitive for a 4-star carry. Which this is going to bring me to more of the build. Starting with his best artifacts. His best artifact sets, he kind of has 2 options, however there is one supreme option. So he could use Crimson Witch, especially if you got like really good substats from it. However, since he has that HP manipulation, you already know where this is going. His best artifact set is going to be the Maruchusei Hunter. Just that crit rate, especially from all the HP manipulation that he does to himself and Farina does to him, plus the healers that you might pair, it just makes this undoubtedly the best artifact set for him. As for best artifact stats, that's pretty straightforward. It's the typical carry build. So you want to go for an attack percent Sands, a pyro damage goblet, and a crit rate or crit damage circlet. I would prefer crit damage because you're most likely going to be pairing him with the Maruchusei set. But yeah, that concludes the artifacts. As for his best weapons, since he is a 4-star, he obviously doesn't have a signature weapon, but all of his best options are really competitive with each other. So his best options are going to be Serpent's Spine. I mean, that's pretty obvious. It's kind of like the best weapon on every Claymore character, but other 5-star options are pretty good. But his actual best free-to-play option is actually a weapon that you might not expect, and that is Rain Slasher. The EM it provides, it's actually going to be pretty useful, especially since you're going to be pairing him in melt scenarios and vape scenarios. And also, I'm pretty sure you have a couple of those lying around with characters waiting to use it, so this is your chance. But say you don't have that, you could use the Mailed Flower, which is the event weapon from Windbloom, and that's just ever so slightly behind it. But if you don't have any of those weapons, a free-to-play weapon you could use is the Fontaine Claymore. However, I would recommend Rain Slasher over that. So, my summary, he seems like he's going to be the best 4-star carry, especially if you have the right components to make him good, and he's actually relatively easy to build, so you won't have too much trouble trying to get him up. And his gameplay seems really fun. For a 4-star character, I'd say this is really amazing. But yeah, that's going to conclude this analysis and guide. If you guys like this video, please leave a like and subscribe, as I very much so appreciate it. But as always, take care and have a great day.